right, place your left hand on the Billboard Bible, right hand in the air, and repeat after me. I state your name.
Darren Fudge.
Promise that the following story
Promise that the following story
is 100% accurate.
is 100% accurate.
So help me, Elton John.
So help me, Elton John.
Hello and welcome to the darkened room of music conversation.
I'm Darren.
And I'm Chris, and today we're going to provide you with our own version of tales of mystery and imagination.
What you're about to hear is 100% true. Dude, why didn't Stephanie do that voiceover?
Oh, she's on vacation, so just had to get anybody I could.
Gotcha.
Today, Darren and I have a couple of stories that happened to us personally.
Yep.
And they're a little bit mysterious, they're a little bit strange, but they involve music.
Correct.
Yeah, so Darren, you're going to start out with your story.
Yeah, and mine's a little long and drawn out, but some of these details I think are necessary to make sense.
That's fine. I should have popped some popcorn.
You probably got some in there, but
Yeah.
I'll try to edit it the best I can. So,
Okay, all right.
All right, so this starts back in February of 2018. I lost my mom. My mom unexpectedly passed away. And whenever you go through something, a situation like that, not necessarily a parent, in this case it was a parent, but somebody that you're close to or whatever, there's definitely a time where, you think about it a lot. It's on your mind. You wake up thinking about it, you go to bed thinking about it, you may wake up in the middle of the night and it's on your mind. And that was the case with my mom. I had a great relationship with her, no issues or anything like that.
Yeah.
Always got along great with my mom. And my mom, we shared the love of music. She introduced me to a lot of my favorite stuff of all time, including Glenn Campbell.
Yeah.
Glenn Campbell I discovered through my mom with the Rhinestone Cowboy album as a little boy. I played it to death. You've seen me. I've had the actual album here before.
Oh, yeah.
So it was a real important, monumental album in my life. Well, anyway, my mom passed away. And in the spring of 18, I was hanging out with my buddy, Rich Cernilia, who was an outrageous guitar player, played with Aviator, and one time he toured with Hall & Oates. Great guy from New York, and he had moved to Nashville. So I started going to some of his local shows and watching him perform. And along the way, I was talking to him. I was actually doing a little bit of mastering work for him. And I had mastered an album by a female singer from New York named Rosetta.
Yeah.
And her album came out in 1980. It was star-studded, had all kinds of people on it, like Bruce Kulick from Kiss, and I actually met Bruce through Rosetta. Yeah. Well, anyway, after I remastered her album onto CD, I wanted to try to get it to her. So I asked Rich if he knew her, and he's like, well, I knew her, 40 years ago, but I know Ellen Shipley, who wrote the song Heaven is a Place on Earth for Belinda Carlisle, and I think Circles in the Sand, prolific songwriter. She was a musician back then, and Richie played guitar for her. So he's like, Rosetta and her were best friends. You should contact her, and maybe she can get you in touch with Rosetta. So that's what I did. She gave me Rosetta's address, and I sent the CD to Rosetta. A few weeks go by. I hear from Rosetta. She loved it. And we kind of struck up a friendship. We started talking a lot on the phone, and she was really pleasant and really sweet, and helped me kind of like recover from the loss of my mom in the sense that took my mind off of it.
Yeah.
And she was, had a lot of great advice, and we talked about all kinds of stuff, life and the world, and of course music. And one night on June 27th, 2018, we got to talking about movies that had made an impact on our life.
Yeah.
So one of the movies that I brought up in this conversation on June 27th, 2018 was Somewhere in Time.
Yeah.
It's a movie that
I
starred
heard you talk about that.
Christopher Reeves and Jane Seymour. And I saw it first when I was a little kid, and I don't know, it just like struck me. Anything that has to do with time travel or anything like that, I've just always been interested in it.
Oh, yeah.
And so it kind of blew my mind as a young lad. And then as I got into my 30s and I watched the movie again, I was able to kind of absorb its deeper meaning, which was a guy trying to seek everlasting love and all this. And it kind of ends tragically.
Yeah.
But anyway, it's kind of a deep movie. If you haven't seen it, I think it's a really good flick.
Yeah.
So we're talking about that, and she's like, oh, yeah, Jane Seymour, she's great. I really love her. She's a great actress and all that. So the next night, I was supposed to go to a Cheap Trick concert in Nashville with my friend Scott. Scott's a childhood friend. You know Scott. And he called me up. It was supposed to rain. The forecast was calling for rain that day. And he was like, do you still want to go to the show? And I was like, well, I tell you what, we'll go, and if it rains, we can always cut out early, and we can leave, so it's no big deal.
Yeah.
So we end up going to the show, not a cloud in the sky. Ends up being a perfect, beautiful night in Nashville.
Nice.
It's at the Ascend Amphitheater, which is what I call Starwood Junior.
Yep, that's exactly what it is.
For those of you who are from Nashville or familiar with the old Starwood. So we go there. Cheap Trick's playing. They're their usual amazing selves. They're opening for Poison this particular night. And about halfway into their set or so, Scott points out, hey, look down there near the stage at this woman who's kind of dancing and enjoying the music and interacting with the band. He's like, that's the actress from Dr. Quinn, Medicine Woman. And I'm like, Jane Seymour?
That's right.
And he was like, yeah, that's Jane Seymour. And I'm like, man, that is just too bizarre, you know? I was just talking about her last night with Rosetta on the phone.
Yeah.
And he was like, man, that is kind of weird. So the set concludes. In the intermission between Cheap Trick and Poison, I kind of, you can't help but kind of follow what's going on, and you see her, and she ends up meeting up with like 3 or 4 other people in this small group.
Yeah.
And within that group, I'm like, holy cow, she's with Glenn Campbell's wife. Glenn had passed away in August of 2017, so it wasn't even quite a year later.
Right.
So technically it's his widow at this point. But Jane Seymour was with Kim Campbell.
Wow.
And I was on a huge Glenn Campbell kick around this time.
Yeah.
Was listening to him literally every day. So I'm like, this is too weird. I was just talking about this woman last night, this actress. I see her. She happens to be with my favorite artist of all time's wife. I'm like, I'm going to go talk to Glenn Campbell's wife. Now, you know me. I'm not generally
you're not shy at all. Yeah.
Yeah. But I don't like to bother people either.
Sure. Yeah.
And so I'm like, I'm going to go say hi, but I'm going to be really cool about it. So I go up. And I introduce myself to Kim, and I, of course, start out with, I don't mean to bother you or anything like that. But I basically just told her, hey, I really respected the fact that you hung with Glenn through all the tough times till the end of his life, and that he was my favorite artist of all time. I wish I was able to tell him this stuff, what a positive influence his music was and all that, but he's not here, so I'm telling you.
Yeah.
She couldn't have been any nicer. She was really sweet.
Nice.
She, gave me a big smile and a warm handshake, and I didn't know it, but Scott actually snapped a picture, which you'll see here on the screen, of when I met her. So it was a really great experience. I'm like, man, this is so cool. I got to meet Glenn Campbell's wife. Cheap Trick were awesome as usual. What a great night. Could anything better happen,
That's pretty cool.
Yeah.
But this is not the end of the story, I assume.
Not the end of the story.
Okay.
So the show ends. We have a fabulous time. And usually when I'm driving, I always have music blaring.
Right.
Or I'm listening to the radio or whatever. I got to have noise.
Yeah.
Well, that night, I'm like, you know what? I'm not going to play anything. I'm just going to drive home. I'm going to just kind of dwell on the moment, the thing that just happened, and just kind of think about it, Yeah. Because it was really cool. So I'm driving home, and it's about a 20-minute drive from the venue where they played to my house.
Yeah.
And so I'm driving in silence, and I'm kind of thinking, man, going over all the things in my head about Jane Seymour and how I met Kim and how cool it was. And I started thinking about, like, is there a guy in the sky? Is there something that did Glenn Campbell and my mom, did they conspire to make sure that this happened? I'm thinking of all these weird things and kind of chuckling about it, kind of like what you just did.
Yeah.
And I'm just like, man, whatever caused this to happen, it was just really cool. And I really appreciated it. So as I'm about 2 minutes from my house, I kind of say out loud, Mom, if you had anything to do with this, I really appreciate it. At that time, all I had was this portable CD player. And the only way to get it to work was you had to, push in a button to initiate its functionality.
Yeah.
Which I didn't push. And all of a sudden, after thinking that thought about my Mom, if you had anything to do with this, I really appreciate it. The radio came on, and the song by Glenn Campbell called Any Which Way You Can played on my stereo. It's hard for a back street. So I'm driving. Like I said, I was really close to home. I pull into my driveway. The song's still playing. Right at the time it gets to the chorus says, any which way you can, just love me any which way you can. was playing, and I was like, wow. And it wasn't like a weird bad feeling. It was really cool, you know. I had the hair on my arms was standing up, but it was like a cool feeling.
Yeah.
The song played till its end, to the conclusion of the song, and the CD player shut off on its own. Mm-hmm. And that was it.
Wow.
And I was like, wow, this is too heavy. This was crazy.
That's amazing.
Yeah. And so I know some of you are probably skeptical that didn't happen. I swear to you on my mother's life, it happened.
He swore on the Billboard book.
So help me, Elton John. So help me, Elton John. And so you have a mysterious musical tale for us as well, right?
I do indeed. And it may not be quite as mysterious as yours, but it's still very interesting.
Okay.
So after graduating high school and, just starting at the college, that's where we met doing our radio show. My job was at a place called Pizza Inn there in Hendersonville, Tennessee. So this Pizza Inn sat on a property that the high school also sat on, that used to belong to the same owner, like 100 years ago. And on his deathbed, he made his wife promise that when he passes away, that she would not sell the land no matter what, or he'll come back and haunt it.
Oh.
Yeah. Now I've heard that. I'd heard
see where this is going.
I'd heard this story so many times, like people saying that they've heard things and seen things inside the high school.
Yeah.
High school kids, I dismissed it all. It's like you don't know what to believe. So I was working as a shift leader at the Pizza Inn, and it was about 2 a.m. Probably Friday or Saturday night. I was the last one in the restaurant. I was in the back doing paperwork, and yes, I'm doing a little reenactment here, and please use your imagination. I was still a teenager, so and this is not the actual office, of course. But anyway, doing the paperwork all by myself. Place is totally dead quiet. We did have a jukebox in this restaurant, and it would never, some jukeboxes will randomly play a song like every 20 minutes or so. This one didn't do that at all.
Right.
It didn't do it. So the front door to this restaurant, when it shut, it had a distinct sound. It was a hard slam, just a loud bang. Every time customers came in, anybody came in that door, you heard that bang, and you could hear it all over the restaurant, no matter how noisy it was.
I understand.
I heard that bang, and I'm like, who's here? Mm-hmm. I thought I was the last one here. So I walk up to the front. I look around the dining area. I look in the kitchen. I check the restrooms. There's no one there. I'm like, what's going on?
Yeah.
So I check the front door, and the front door is locked. Chills. I'm like, this is weird.
Yeah.
And then I'll start thinking about the ghost stories I'd heard. I'm like,
all right,
how'd the door slam and it's locked? No one in the parking lot. So there was only 3 of us that had a key to the place. So, they weren't the type to play pranks.
Right.
So I'm like, well, this is kind of weird. What really sent chills down my spine is the jukebox suddenly started to play.
No way.
That's right. It started to play Michael Bolton, and it was a B-side, a song called Forever Eyes.
Wow. Now that's scary. Michael Bolton alone and 2 a.m.
Right, yeah. That's what really set me over the edge.
Wow.
I got the paperwork done as fast as I could and hightailed it out of there.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
That's crazy. So
swear to God it happened. It's a true story.
Wow. Swear on Elton John?
Swear on Elton John.
Okay, well, it's got to be true then.
There you go. All right. Well, how about you guys? Do you have some strange tales in your past that you can't quite explain?
Yeah.
That involve music? Please let us know. Drop it in the comments. Hit a like on this video, and let's play some trivia. What do you say?
Let's go for it.
Okay. All right, trivia box.
Trivia box.
We ready to put our thinking caps on and got the goosebumps out of our system? All right.
Pull out a good one now.
The category is one-hit wonder. All right. These are usually pretty easy.
Yeah.
What was Haircut 100's?
I love +1. Okay, keep going.
Let's try another card. The 80s.
Okay.
Also tend to be pretty easy for us.
Yeah.
What was Dire Straits' biggest hit? So what was the biggest hit?
Biggest hit. Okay. Well.
Okay. All right. So Walk of Life, Sultans of Swing, Money for Nothing, So Far Away.
I'm going to say it's going to be Money for Nothing.
I believe it is too, but again, biggest hit. It's possible that because Money for Nothing got played so much on rock radio, maybe I'm remembering it as a bigger hit.
And that's a vague question because, is it we can always refer to the Billboard Bible.
We could, yeah. But I'm gonna believe the card.
Money for Nothing.
Yeah. It was indeed Money for Nothing.
Yeah, I mean, that was an iconic song. And when it came out, it was a massive, massive song.
It really was.
And it got played for months on end.
It did.
It was really crazy. And that was a huge, huge record. I loved it.
Oh, fantastic. I mean, Your Latest Trick and
that was probably my
Arms.
favorite song outside the hits was Your Latest Trick.
Oh,
I love that one. And Why Worry, that's a really pretty song.
It is.
Yeah.
Outside of Money for Nothing, the rest of that album is just like your laid back, chill vibe kind of album. It's awesome.
For sure. Mm-hmm. And I think we may have mentioned this or at some point, but the very first CD to ever go platinum.
That's right.
Brothers in Arms.
We did mention that. I remember that episode.
Yeah.
Link to that episode will be right up here. All right. Thanks for joining us, guys. We'll be back again with another episode very soon.
Take care.
See ya.